Welcome to another Hike the South review. Today we'll be looking at Whiteside Mountain and Devil's Courthouse. You can find all of this information on hikethesouth.com, links below in the description. So I hiked this hike in February of 2019. Whiteside Mountain is located between Highlands and Cashiers, North Carolina. As you can see here, this is a 2-mile loop. Pretty easy, shouldn't take you more than an hour. There is a optional side trail that will add just under a mile, which is significantly more difficult, and we'll talk about that. That's the side trail to Devil's Courthouse. So we'll just start by going through the photos. The parking lot has about 20 to 30 places for cars depending on how badly people park. There is a $3 per vehicle fee, and right here you can see the trailhead and the fee station. You'll start this hike by going up some steps. Right at the top of these steps you will come to an old road. Continue uphill to the left. If you turned right, it would just head back to the main road that you came in on. Shortly after that, you'll see a split in the trail, and there will be, you can see a trail marker right here that'll say loop. I chose to go up this trail and make this loop counterclockwise. That is the more difficult way to do this 2-mile hike. If you stay on the old road, it goes up a lot more gently. So you can either go up gently and come down steep, or go up steep, come down gently. There are some steps to help you up some steep sections. There are blue blazes. Now, I found these were very sporadic. And to be honest, there are a few side trails and the blazes weren't there when you needed them. Speaking of side trails, on this loop, I'll talk about side trails completely separately on the trail to Devil's Courthouse. But on this main loop, side trails really aren't that big of a problem. You can pretty much tell what's a side trail and what's not, and a lot of the side trails just go to smaller views. My personal opinion is all these side trails you don't need to mess with, because there are astounding views all along the top of Whiteside Mountain. So these little side trails don't really add a lot. So like I said, once you get to the top of Whiteside Mountain, you have about a half mile of just constant views, back-to-back views. The cliffs drop off at around 1,000 feet, so there are fences for your safety. The highest point along here is this kind of mound of a rock. About halfway down the views, and you can stand up on that and get a little bit better view, which is this view right here. Just after that little summit rock, you will pass a crack in the rocks. If you crawl down there, you can get a really good view of the cliffs. And this view, this is the only little side trail I'd suggest taking. There are still fenced areas there, so it's still safe to go down there. This is just looking back at the trail you just came down. And this trail ends by heading down the gravel road back to where you started. So pretty straightforward hike. On the way back down, there is one side trail. We'll get here in a sec. I want to come in. So there are a couple side trails over here. This is the steep section as you head up, and then this is your first view, and then this is the summit, and you really have views all along this stretch right here. As you can see, the elevation drops pretty dramatically. There is one little side trail on the way back down. Right after you start turning down, there is a trail that kind of goes toward the inside of the loop and uphill. But it's pretty easy again to stay on the main road going back down. So I don't expect side trails to trip you up. There is one section on the way up over here. I think it's right here. Yeah, the trail will split into two, but it rejoins itself within a few feet, so either direction is fine. So pretty straightforward. You can see the elevation graph here. So you're climbing at roughly 800 to 900 feet a mile. As you can see, the down, if you want a more gentle incline, you can come up the road and then head down that, or come up the road and go back the same way you came if you really wanted to. And you can really see the difference in the elevation depending on which way you go based on the slope breakdown. So here's elevation gain, here's loss. You can see on the way up you get a lot more purple, which is at 1,000 feet plus a mile. Here you have more yellow, which is the 250 to 500 foot range, and a lot more orange, which is 500 to 750. So now let's talk about the Devil's Courthouse side trail. Let me just start by coming back down here. So you can see the Whiteside Mountain loop we just talked about here. Right on the corner here, there will be a info sign. So there are a few information signs scattered about. So if you look for the information sign that says straddling the Continental Divide, right behind this sign is the trailhead, is the start of the side trail for Devil's Courthouse. So right when you start heading down, and I would advise, looking at these yellow markers are, I usually put yellow markers for directional markers, and orange is points of interest. So, and we're going to go over these. I have these also in the photos, but this trail is not blazed at all, and there are tons of side trails. I actually took one of the side trails for about a half mile in the wrong direction. So it's really easy to get lost. I would definitely advise having a GPS, if anything, just to get back up, going back up the way you came. But these are the few side trails that I think are most important that trip me up. So the very first is right when you start heading down, there'll be a kind of a slanted rock. And the trail kind of goes down to the right, but you want to stay on top of the rock, and the trail goes off to the left. Then after about 0.3 miles, you're going to you're dropping down, and then you're going to kind of come to a little gap, right? And you'll see the hill right in front of you. The main trail, in my opinion, looked like it turned left, and this is where I came down here a ways. You don't want to do that. You want to continue straight going uphill. There were some logs in the way that kind of looked like maybe they were blocking the trail, which is one of the reasons I turned left, but you want to go over the logs and continue up. And then right after that, there'll be a little split, and you want to stay to the right, not go to the left. But let's go through the photos. So these photos are all the same that we just saw. So right when you start heading down the Devil's Courthouse trail, you'll kind of come to this rock here. And in my opinion, the trail looked like it came down here. There's actually a trail up here. I didn't even see this until I was standing down here. So you just kind of want to walk along the top of the rock and stay to the left. And as you can see, this trail is pretty rough. It descends pretty steeply. There's lots of stuff in the way. There's a few steep drops that you have to take. You kind of have to climb back up on the way back up. But then here is the gap. You can see it looked to me like the trail, you're coming from here. I'm taking a photo of where you're coming down from. The trail looks like it turns to the left, but you want to take this trail and head up here. And as you can see, there's like these logs here that I'm like, oh, that looks like it's blocking the trail. Don't go that way. I went that way for a while. I don't know where it goes, but this is what you want to take to get to Devil's Courthouse. And then once you get up here, there'll be a trail heading off to the left, and you want to stay to the right. And then after that, there's a few other small side trails. These are definitely not the only side trails, but there's too numerous to name. It'd just be confusing, but most of the other ones, like I could easily identify, were side trails. And then there are a few little side trails that get you out to this grassy field, so you can kind of take any of them. And you do get views of Whiteside Mountain, where there's This is Whiteside Mountain right here. You just came down this hill. So nice little grassy field, and continue on a few more feet and you'll come out to Devil's Courthouse. And here there are no fences, so definitely a fall from here would definitely kill you, especially if it's wet or icy. I don't recommend coming out here, but if you do come out here, the views are fantastic. You get much more expansive views than on Whiteside, and you definitely are going to avoid the crowds out here. So looking at the elevation map, right here is about where you start heading down the Devil's Courthouse trail, and if you connected that over here, that would be what the normal Whiteside Mountain loop. So this is the section you're adding on, and as you can see, it heads down very steeply. So I definitely recommend trying to find the Devil's Courthouse. You may get a little lost, but that's part of the fun. Just bring a GPS and expect a pretty rough trail. Yeah, I think that's it. So, like I said, you can find all this information on hikethesouth.com, and again, links are in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe for more hike reviews, or let me know what you think in the comments. If you've been on this trail, I'd love it if you left a review on hikethesouth.com to help out other hikers checking it out. Other than that, thank you for watching.